Hello and welcome back to another review with me, Kevin, from Kevin Grant on Whisky. We're back in Campbeltown. We've got the brother or sister, what you want to call, to the Kilkerran 8-year-old bourbon cask matured, the one that I done last week. This is the sherry cask matured. Again, unopened it just now, get it in the glass. So another uncorking, unveiling of something new. See what pot we get. We'll get it in the glass straight away. So every year, Kilkerran now since 2018, have been bringing out these cask strength whiskies to us. Every year it seems to be a sherry cask has always been one of them. This is the 2023 release. Cask strength, sherry cask matured, 57.5% AB free from Glengyle Distillery, which reopened again in 2004. To put Campbeltown back on the map is what Springbank have done. They came across to reopen that. A lot of the information will be from last week's video, since I've got two back to back from the same distillery, the same release, but just a different cask makeup. I have absolutely loved the sherry casks that Kilkerran have done through the past. I've been able to get one every single year. They've been opened every single year. I think there was only one which was slightly different, and one of them was the maturation was slightly different. I think it was an STR cask, so a shaved, toasted, recharged sherry cask, or sorry, a charred sherry cask, and that was maybe 2 years ago. Can't remember exactly. So it's slightly different from the other ones that came out. The very first, the original, the 57.1 was it? 7.4% ABV. The first one that ever came out for me is still one of my favourite whiskies I've ever had. I think it was absolutely sensational. This has spent its full life in sherry casks. Non-chill filtered, natural colour. Compared to the other ones, I would say the colour looks slightly lighter in comparison to its predecessors. But that doesn't mean much, I think, in whiskey. I think I've had some whiskies that have been super, super light in colour, which have had tons of flavour. And I've had some, because some add caramel, unfortunately, have been very quiet on the palate. So this here, I am not too sure what to expect. I've chosen a wee Glencairn to put it in this time as well, keeping it quite similar to the bourbon cask matured. So just new, fresh off the press, brand new. I picked this up by sheer chance. One that I thought I wouldn't get my hands on. I was actually at a wine tasting, had a few glasses of wine, sampling these different styles, tried to get my nose in different genres of booze, and I tried some wines. And at the end of it, they try and sell you bottles of wine. So I'm walking around this shop and I looked on the shelf and I seen the big fancy word of Kilkerran. Had a look over thinking it was going to be the standard 12, maybe a heavily peated, and lo and behold, it said sherry cask matured on it. So I picked it up in the excitement that I had after all my samples of wine, and I was able to get this, again, retail price just shy of £60. I think £58 I paid for it. So it's staying in that kind of similar ballpark as well, which is really good, and which I want it to stay in. Because Kilkerran can produce a lot more whiskey if they want to, but they only produce about 15 to 20%, I think, overall. But once they start putting staff in there full time, this could up. But is that going to change the quality? I just never want to see that. But I want everyone to be able to have a better chance of getting their hands on Kilkerran and Springbanks. But enough chat just now. Let's get this nosed. Let's get it on the palate. I've got a wee water dropper here as well, because I'm going to add some. But this is going to be first impressions. Last week's first impression on the bourbon cask, I felt it needed a bit more time to open up. It was a bit tight bottle pour. So let's kind of see what this does. Is it going to be tight? Is it going to be open? I really don't know, but let's find out. So firstly, on the nose. Love it. Straight away, big deep sherry notes. The coastal salty notes come through as well. It does have that kind of burnt sweet wood, probably the best way to describe it. Cherries, berries, raspberries, melted but gooey and maybe toasted. Like, you get the creme brulee top, but it's been candied, really, maybe boiled up and made sweeter. There's a little bit of funk. There's definitely that wee dirty note to it, but in a good way. I know that sounds, it can be bad in tasting notes, your mind might take you somewhere else, but it's got that little dirty, dunnagey, sulphury hit to it this time. More sulphur than I'm used to in comparison to other ones. This is exciting on the nose, the best way to describe that. Big sherry notes, big cherries, berries, raspberries. As I say, maybe boiled up, candied, torched a little bit as well. A little bit of that kind of brown sugar notes, the coastal still there, and funk. Dunnagey funk. A little bit leathery as well. So this has definitely got a lot more oomph straight away in comparison to the bourbon. Yes, they're completely different cask makeups, but this here has a really good strong nose in comparison to my first impressions of its predecessors. It's got a really strong nose, so I'm hoping that will continue on the palate. I'm Slainte around. Spicy. A little bit of smoke comes through. It stays peppery, sweet. Very, very long on the palate. Long lasting. A little bit of spice. The fruit's still staying there. That bit of smoke coming through as well. It's a wonderful nose and wonderful palate, and that first impression there, the legs on it are really, really amazing as well. They're just lasting on that glass. That funk stays there. Yep. Maybe that's a more sulphury note, but sweet, peppery. Just long lasting. Just added a couple of drops of water to see if it's going to open up anymore, if it's going to change anything. I don't think it's going to change much. The nose doesn't really change much. I see it's maybe giving more that deeper red fruits coming through. Yeah, not much is changing the nose, so it's staying with those berries, cherries, darker fruits, as I say, boiled up and then turned into maybe kind of jammy way, with being torched with a flame. It's giving that like sort of burnt note, that dunnagey, funky. It's got the sea breeze. It is traditional Campbeltown. It's a wild sherry cask Kilkerran. It's the best way to describe it. Wildly wonderful. And leathery. There's a really nice leather note in the backdrop of that. We'll see what changes on the palate. Let's see if there's going to be much. It stays funky. It stays sweet. The pepperiness still stays there. That smoke's still there as well. Maybe slightly drying now, a little bit more. It's great. It's still not the first ever release that I had that connection straight away and I just fell in love with it. This is really good though. This is a really wonderful style of a funky sherry cask matured Campbeltown whiskey. And I think if anyone's going to do a funky sherry cask matured whiskey, leave it to Kilkerran. You know, they're just for me, the best at doing it. Other funky whiskey you'll get is maybe in relation to maybe Ben Nevis, but they're not really that sherry note for me. But this is great. First impressions, it's weird when I look at the bourbon cask. It's never gave me the first impression, but I had another dram, it's getting a little bit better. I'm hoping this stays good and gets better. But see if it stays this level all the time, I'm going to be very happy. It's a quality dram for me. Really, really enjoying this. And it's a frustrating part because you can get one, you'll never get two. I like to open my whiskey. I'll maybe have to hunt again for another one, potentially in the auctions, which is unfortunate. I've came across this by chance, and I'm very, very happy I've been able to get one and pay retail price for it. I've still got a fair wee whack left in there. I'm going to go and finish it off and relax, and just try and see if there's any other notes from it. But that's been great for me. Kilkerran, you've smashed it again. I fell in love from your first sherry cask matured. I continue to fall in love with your sherry cask matured whiskies, and just please keep them coming. On a more regular basis would be fantastic as well. But here, if you can get your hands on it, great. If you can't, let me know, and if I can get a sample to you, I'm more than happy to share my whiskey. It's what it's for, right? As always, I'm going to go and sit back and enjoy it. Again, thank you everyone who tunes in. Thanks for everyone who's subscribing, everyone who's new to the channel. I do this all the time, I do it too late. Thanks for tuning in. If you've stayed long enough, thank you for being here, and thanks for listening in to this, and thanks for leaving comments. I see them all the time. I just struggle to react to them and comment back to every single one. But hit subscribe for weekly content. You know I'll be here next week as well, talking about whiskey, and I don't know what I've got in store. I'll need to have a wee look to see what's there. But as always, I've been Kevin from Kilkerran Whisky. Join me next week. Let's talk whiskey.